The first lawsuit has been filed in the fatal shooting on the set of the Alec Baldwin film Rust. It has not been brought by the husband of Halyna Hutchins, who was shot to death. It has not been brought by director Joel Souza, who was wounded in the shooting. No, instead, the suit was brought by Serge Svetnoy. It's a name we haven't heard much on this story until now, and there's a reason for that, because he wasn't really injured. Svetnoy was the gaffer on the movie. He wrote a lengthy Facebook post about the tragic incident on October 24th, where he described the emotional final moments of Halyna Hutchins' life and blasted the negligence and unprofessionalism on the set. At a news conference yesterday in Los Angeles, Svetnoy and his attorney, Gary Dordick, explained why they filed the suit.
What a terrible tragedy and injustice when a person loses her life on film set while making art.
This lawsuit is not about his desire to make money at all. This lawsuit is to bring awareness to a problem and to prevent it in the future. This lawsuit is to make these kinds of unsafe conditions that happen too much on movie sets stop now.
Svetnoy alleges that Assistant Director Dave Halls failed to thoroughly and properly inspect the gun before announcing that it was cold or safe to handle. Alec Baldwin is also named in the lawsuit. Svetnoy accuses the actor of negligence, claiming that it was his responsibility to double-check the gun and handle it, quote, as if it was loaded and to refrain from pointing it at anyone. Baldwin, Halls, and armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed are all named in the lawsuit among roughly 24 defendants. But for any lawsuit, you need damages, and Svetnoy alleges that he suffered injury when the bullet narrowly missed him. The suit says, quote, he felt a strange and terrifying whoosh of what felt like pressurized air from his right. He felt what he believed was gunpowder and other residual materials from the gun directly strike the right side of his face and scratch the lenses of the eyeglasses he was wearing. Svetnoy is also suing for severe emotional distress. As he notes in the lawsuit, he says he held Halyna Hutchins as she was dying. Joining us now to discuss is Gary Dordick. He's the attorney for Serge Svetnoy. Gary, thanks so much for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it. I have to say, though, as I read the lawsuit and read the entirety of it, I was a little confused because I get that there will be lawsuits and people will be held accountable for the negligence on the set. They should be. But why would you encourage this client to sue when the damage he suffered was basically a scratched eyeglass lens? It seems to me there are many other more valid and worthy plaintiffs than your client who's filed the first lawsuit here.
Well, I didn't encourage him to file a lawsuit. He retained my services because he knows that I fight for people like him that have been injured. To say he wasn't injured is not accurate at all. You're discounting that emotional distress is a real injury, and that's just simply not so.
So the fact that he was, look, it's obviously an upsetting thing, but I guess my point is, you said at the press conference yesterday that you were doing this to ensure that there'd be more safety on sets around the country, and that very often is the purpose of civil lawsuits, is to prevent things like this from happening again. And yet I come back to the fact that it doesn't seem to me that this is the plaintiff to do it. Some guy who's saying that his eyeglass was scratched and he got very upset at everything that happened, that's not damages. I mean, this just feels like it's on the fringe of being a frivolous lawsuit.
Well, again, you're taking the position that emotional distress damages are nothing and worthless, and that somebody who claims severe emotional distress has no claim, no real injury. You're focusing on scratched glasses, but perhaps focus on his dear good friend of many years, has a bullet in her. She's bleeding in his arms, bleeding on his hands, and he holds her while she lies dying, talking to her, trying to keep her alive, trying to keep her with and save her life where she later dies. That damage is compensable in California, but as I said, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so every very good friend of someone who dies based on negligence then should be filing lawsuits based on that because of the emotional distress to them of the negligence that led to somebody else's death. I mean, you see where I'm going with this. I'm concerned that this is the kind of lawsuit, particularly because it's the first lawsuit that's filed in connection with this case, that this is the wrong one, that it sends the wrong message, and that the people who should be filing the first lawsuits here should be the people who were both injured physically and suffered emotional distress, which can lead to damages. Instead, what you have here is a guy whose eyeglasses were shattered, who was obviously very upset by what happened, but that just doesn't seem to me to be a very strong damages case, and certainly isn't going to be the one that's going to clear up any safety issues that are happening on sets around America.
Well, I disagree with several things you said, but the law provides who can recover for negligent infliction of emotional distress. There's specific guidelines, like being within the zone of danger. Basically, for this type of loss, there's 3 people that can sue. 3 people. 2 of them, yes, were struck by bullets, and those 2 have better or stronger damages cases. I don't disagree with that, but I do disagree with the premise that emotional distress is nothing. So there's 3 people that can sue. Mr. Svetnoy is one of the 3 that was in the zone of danger, had a close relationship, suffered some physical injury and emotional distress. So the law gives him the right to sue. The emotional distress is significant, and he's hired me, and I've gone after all the corporations in the past. I've gone against production companies in the past, and whether his damages are large or small, I intend to go after him.
All right. Well, look, and I get it's a high-profile case. I understand why you'd take it. But let me focus on the Alec Baldwin piece of this. You're suing Alec Baldwin in the suit, claiming that he owed the duty to the plaintiff and other crew members on the set to double-check. I've now talked to 3 armorers who work on all of the top movie sets. All of them have said to me that the actor is not expected, as a matter of due course, to double-check when they are handed a weapon. They say, hey, it's great if they do, but the notion that that's an expectation, all of them have said, just simply isn't the case.
Well, I mean, you picked 3 people, you talked to them. I don't know what was said, and I don't know what questions were asked other than what you're saying. But I think if you brought in your the group of people you ask and talk to and say, would you take a real gun and point it at somebody, pointed at them and pull the trigger, the answer is going to be no. Nobody reasonable would take a gun because somebody told them, hey, that gun's okay. Go ahead and take a real gun, point it at a human being, pull the trigger, and then when a bullet goes off, you say, oh, well, that guy told me it was okay. That makes no sense at all. I mean, does that sound reasonable to you?
Right.
Because somebody told you?
It makes no sense if you're off a movie set. But again, I learned this from talking to the people who are on movie sets, and you tell me you've been involved in lawsuits against them before, so you should know that what I'm saying is absolutely true, that the actor is not expected to double-check. And look, I don't want to defend Alec Baldwin. I think he's in big trouble as the producer of this film. I think he's going to get sued in legitimate lawsuits, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But I guess I'm just concerned about this one, and I give you the final word, Mr. Dordick.
Well, I would say that if you continually insist or suggest that emotional distress are not real damages, take a look around at people that suffer PTSD in our society. There's significant harm. I have clients that break bones and have no problems. I have a lot of physical injuries that heal 100%. Emotional distress is a very real, very significant injury, and don't lose track of the fact that we're not in it for the money. I intend to bring about a change. Mr. Svetnoy is helping me, and between us, we will bring about a change. You seem doubtful of that, but I'm telling you, it's not about
the change
money,
is going to occur.
And with him
the change
and
is
me,
going to
the
occur.
change will come.
The change is going to occur. It's just not going to be because of you. But
I think so.
I appreciate it. Look, okay, fair enough.
Well,
but Gary Dordick,
I doubt that.
I appreciate the conversation, and I appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.